Rangers' decision to part ways with Russell Martin has not only rocked the foundations of Ibrox, but also reignited deep conversations across Scottish football about results, about leadership, and most of all, about what it really takes to make such a call at a club of Rangers' stature. It's easy to talk about sackings in black and white, wins and losses, but the real picture? It's always messier. And in this case, there's a whole lot more under the surface than just a poor start to the season. Martin was brought in with a wave of cautious optimism. A young, forward-thinking coach with a clear identity and a footballing philosophy rooted in possession, structure, and progressive play. On paper, it felt modern. It felt like something that could work, something that could evolve Rangers beyond the old-school pragmatism and into a new era. But football isn't played on paper, and what unfolded across his short stint in charge quickly became a cautionary tale. Just 17 games into the campaign, and the writing was already on the wall. 1 win in 7 league games? For a club like Rangers, that's not just underperformance, that's crisis territory. The final straw came in a 1-1 draw against Falkirk, a result that was more than just 2 dropped points. It was symbolic of a deeper issue. Rangers looked disjointed, the fans looked disconnected, and the mood inside Ibrox had soured beyond repair. This wasn't just a blip or a transition period. It was a team that looked lost, a dressing room that seemed unresponsive, and a manager whose ideas, for all their theory and structure, just weren't landing. And as is always the case, when results nosedive and belief vanishes, the focus turns to the man in the dugout. But removing a manager is never just about football, especially not at this level. There are contracts involved, payouts, clauses, negotiations, and for a club already balancing the financial demands of modern football, these are not decisions taken lightly. Russell Martin's departure wasn't just a change of face. It was a strategic reset, a financial hit, a gamble that the short-term pain of sacking him would lead to long-term stability. Former Manchester City advisor Stefan Borson offered insight into how clubs handle these kinds of exits, pointing out that while payoffs can be expensive, they're sometimes necessary to protect the club's trajectory. According to him, Rangers likely structured Martin's contract with a relatively manageable termination clause, probably a fixed payout covering 6 to 12 months of salary. It's the kind of deal that clubs make with managers who are eager for the opportunity, and Martin, stepping into the Ibrox spotlight for the first time, would have known the risk-reward dynamic that comes with it. Borson made another crucial point, that financial concerns can't be the only factor. When the football on the pitch is broken, when the atmosphere in the stands is toxic, and when a club's direction feels rudderless, sticking with a manager just because his severance is expensive ends up costing far more in the long run. Missed European qualification, fan disengagement, sponsorship damage. Those consequences often dwarf whatever payout is owed. And for Rangers, a club where expectations are sky-high and patience is limited, the tipping point had clearly been reached. Russell Martin's exit adds another chapter to a growing list of managerial upheavals since Steven Gerrard's departure back in 2021. What once felt like a new dawn under Gerrard has slowly unraveled into a cycle of trial and error. Coaches come in, ideas are sold, hope rises, and then collapses when the football doesn't deliver. Martin's sacking is just the latest reminder that philosophy means little without results, and that style without substance gets old fast in a league as demanding as the Scottish Premiership. Of course, attention has quickly turned to what comes next. Who fills the void? Who can steady the ship, restore belief, and, most importantly, win games consistently? 2 names have started to pick up steam in the conversation: Derek McKenna and Stephen Robinson. Both have flown under the radar to some extent, but both offer something that Rangers desperately need: familiarity with the Scottish game and a proven ability to get the best out of squads that punch above their weight. McKenna, now at Hearts, has his side flying high in the Premiership and has always been known for building tough, organized teams. His knowledge of the league, his ability to grind out results, and his no-nonsense approach make him a serious contender. There are whispers of confidence coming from Tynecastle that he's not going anywhere, but in football, that means little when the right offer lands. Then there's Stephen Robinson at St. Mirren. Quieter, less flashy, but incredibly effective. What he's done with that squad deserves more attention. He's built a side that's resilient, disciplined, and punches well above its financial weight. That kind of resourcefulness could be exactly what Rangers need in this moment. someone who can bring stability and structure without needing a massive overhaul. Club legend Ally McCoist weighed in, backing both candidates and highlighting something that often gets overlooked in the analytics-driven modern game: understanding the club. He made it clear, Rangers don't just need a good coach. They need someone who gets it. Someone who understands the pressure, the expectation, the weight of that badge. Someone who knows what it means to win at Ibrox, and more importantly, what it means to lose. That emotional intelligence, that ability to connect with the supporters, isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. McCoist was honest in his assessment. He pointed to a lack of that connection in recent times and urged the board to consider that when making their next move. And he's right. You can't coach identity. You either live it or you don't. And at Rangers, where history looms large and the demands never fade, it's not enough to be clever on the training pitch. You have to embody what the club stands for. Meanwhile, off the pitch, there's been another big change. Former Rangers sporting director Ross Wilson has been officially confirmed as Newcastle United's new football operations chief. After a spell at Nottingham Forest, Wilson now moves into a major leadership role at St. James Park, replacing Paul Mitchell. Newcastle CEO spoke highly of Wilson's track record, praising his strategic thinking, his focus on talent development, and his role in building integrated football departments, from first team to academy to women's football. It's a significant step up for Wilson and another reminder of how Rangers continues to produce talent not just on the field, but in the boardroom as well. One of the biggest challenges Rangers now face is not just finding the next manager, but choosing the right one, someone capable of unifying a fractured dressing room, reigniting belief in the stands, and navigating the pressures that come with leading one of the most scrutinized clubs in European football. This isn't a job for the faint-hearted. The Ibrox hot seat comes with massive responsibility, and every decision from now on will be under the microscope. The board knows that another misstep could prove disastrous, not only for the current season, but for the club's long-term ambitions. The new manager won't just inherit a team with tactical flaws. They'll inherit a squad whose confidence has been shaken, whose rhythm has been disrupted, and whose relationship with the supporters is hanging by a thread. And speaking of the supporters, their role in all of this cannot be understated. Rangers fans are passionate, loyal, and fiercely demanding. They expect excellence, not excuses. They expect fight, not flatness. And above all, they expect results. The early part of this campaign has left them with a bitter taste, watching their team stumble out of the blocks while rivals build momentum. Every point dropped, every uninspired performance, every decision from the bench that didn't work, it all adds up. That's why the next appointment isn't just about tactics. It's about identity. It's about someone who can walk into Ibrox and instantly bring back a sense of belief. Someone who commands respect not just from the players, but from the entire club. And someone who won't need 6 months to understand what Rangers Football Club is all about. That's where names like McKenna and Robinson start to stand out even more. They might not bring the global glamour that some fans dream of, but what they do offer is grounded, effective management, the kind that works in the trenches of the Scottish Premiership. And let's be honest, Rangers need that right now. They don't need empty promises or a flashy style that collapses under pressure. They need points on the board, consistency, and a manager who can squeeze performances out of a squad that, on paper, should be doing far better than it has. But the clock is ticking. The longer this managerial search drags on, the more uncertainty creeps in. Training sessions lose direction, tactical planning becomes reactive instead of proactive, and players begin to look inward. It's a vulnerable time. And while the interim staff will do their best to steady the ship, everyone knows this limbo period can't last long. Momentum is everything in football, and right now, Rangers have none. Their rivals are sensing weakness. The media spotlight is intensifying, and the fans are growing impatient. There's no room for delay, no space for indecision. The board must act, and act with clarity. Now, financially, Martin's exit may not have left the club in ruins, but it's another blow in a period where every penny matters. European competition remains a key financial pillar for Rangers, and falling behind early in the domestic campaign makes qualification harder. The potential fallout from missing out on Champions League football, or even the Europa League, would be massive. That's why sacking Martin, while costly in the short term, was seen as a necessary step to stop the rot before it became unmanageable. Waiting any longer could have turned a bad start into a full-blown disaster. It's also worth noting that this isn't just a football issue. Every decision made at board level affects the wider image of the club. Sponsors, investors, and stakeholders watch these moments closely. Stability breeds confidence, and Rangers, for all their history and stature, haven't looked stable for a while now. The constant cycle of hiring and firing managers, the inconsistency on the pitch, the public disagreements, it creates a perception problem, one that could hurt the club's ambitions beyond Scotland. And it's not just about the manager's chair either. The club's entire footballing structure is being looked at. With Ross Wilson now gone to Newcastle, there's a fresh gap in leadership off the pitch too. His time at Rangers had its ups and downs, but his exit adds to the sense that this is a transitional moment, not just a bad start to a season, but a deeper reset across the football department. The next sporting director, the next manager, and the alignment between the two will be absolutely vital if Rangers want to get back on track and stay there. Wilson's move to Newcastle was no accident. He's been praised for his strategic thinking and his ability to bring structure to clubs. That kind of reputation doesn't happen overnight. At Rangers, he helped implement processes that, despite the turbulence, did lay foundations in areas like youth development and recruitment. Whether those processes will be continued or overhauled now remains to be seen. But what's clear is that Rangers are in a moment where every department, from scouting to first-team operations, must work in unison. That's why the manager choice isn't just about results. It's about alignment. Who fits the system? Who shares the vision? Who can work with limited resources and still deliver on the pitch? This is no longer a job where one charismatic manager can paper over the cracks. It's a long-term project that needs clarity, planning, and execution at every level. Otherwise, Rangers risk falling further behind, not just to Celtic, but to other Premiership clubs that are slowly closing the gap. And that brings us back to where this all began, the brutal reality of managerial change. Russell Martin came in with ideas, with ambition, and with a fresh approach. But in the end, ideas mean little if they don't translate into results. Rangers gave him a chance. They gave him time. But in football, especially at a club with this kind of history, time is a luxury. When performances dip, when supporters turn, and when belief starts to disappear, decisions have to be made. And Rangers made theirs. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. Whispers have been circling Ibrox for the past few days, and now it seems the murmurings have some substance. Rangers, ever eager to shore up their defensive ranks, have reportedly secured the signature of Aberdeen's stalwart centre-back, Scott McKenna. While the club have officially announced the transfer, the ripple effects of this move are already being felt among supporters and pundits alike, sparking debate over just how much of a game-changer McKenna could be for Giovanni van Bronckhorst's side. McKenna, 26, has long been a fixture in the Pittodrie defense, earning plaudits for his no-nonsense tackling, aerial dominance, and the kind of composure on the ball that makes managers sit up and take notice. The rumor mill suggests Rangers were circling for months, biding their time, and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The timing, some insiders claim, is strategic. Van Bronckhorst is understood to have been pushing for defensive reinforcement ahead of what promises to be a congested season in both domestic and European competitions. Sources close to the player hint that McKenna was swayed by the chance to compete at the very top of Scottish football and the lure of Champions League nights, the type that have become almost synonymous with the Jers in recent seasons. There's also talk of a sizable financial package, though exact details remain shrouded in secrecy, adding yet more fuel to the speculation fire. Fans on social media are abuzz, some excited by the prospect of a fortified backline, others wary of losing a talismanic presence from Aberdeen's ranks. Tactically, the chatter suggests that McKenna could slot straight into the heart of Rangers' defense, potentially partnering with James Tavernier's sidekick at the back, creating a formidable wall that could frustrate even the most ambitious of Premiership attackers. The whispers also hint at the wider implications for squad dynamics, with younger defenders perhaps finding their minutes more limited but learning invaluable lessons from a player of McKenna's caliber. While it's early days, and only time will tell if McKenna's arrival sparks an immediate upturn in Rangers' defensive solidity, the buzz around Ibrox is undeniable. Fans are already speculating about how soon he'll make his debut, who he'll line up alongside, and whether this move signals the start of an ambitious transfer spree. One thing's certain, the rumor mill has been vindicated, and the excitement and nerves at Rangers have reached fever pitch. Whether this is the move that finally tightens up Van Bronckhorst's backline, or simply a headline-grabbing story in an otherwise quiet transfer window, Scott McKenna's name is now on everyone's lips. The gossip, the speculation, and the hopes of the Jers faithful hang in the balance as Ibrox prepares for what could be one of the most talked-about defensive signings in recent memory. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.